Welcome to the Healist Podcast, where we inspire and guide healers through business expansion. We give voice to incredibly abundant healers to share their stories. We dive into the quantum field to unlock the energies of conscious creation. We also develop digital tools to help you grow, which you can find on healist.com. I'm your host, Yuli, and I'm grateful you chose to join this space. Now let's go deep. Hello, my dear friends. Another amazing guest today on the Healers Podcast. We're joined by Erika Polsinelli, the founder and creator of Evolve by Erika, to talk about her inspiring journey as a healer. She stumbled upon Kundalini breathwork 5 years ago while dealing with personal anxiety, paranoia, and panic attacks, and that changed everything for her. Now she teaches breathwork, meditation, Kundalini on her very own platform and community, hosts her podcasts and retreats, and built an incredible following who breathe with her daily. Erika, welcome to the podcast. As you know, I like to set intention for each episode. And for this one, I'm just so grateful to have you with us. I've been following you, and you just built such an inspiring presence around you, which is something that's hard to do on those digital platforms when that's like our only way to connect. And I just admire that when people are able to do that, but do it also like authentically and be very genuine about it. So I'm just grateful to have you here and share some of your wisdom with our listeners, and I hope to inspire them with the same.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. When I heard about the community that you lead and the podcast you have, it was a no-brainer. It was a full body yes that I would love to come and speak to you in your community.
Oh, I love that. First of all, I love when people make decisions with like somatic feelings.
Yeah, it's essential. Our intuition is very strong.
Right? But when it all connects, it's just such a beautiful tool. I've been diving deeper into that too. And it's just like amazing how it helps us just like navigate in life and business.
It is so true. It is so true. And honestly, I would say that's my guiding force. This is like the spoiler alert of all the conversation we're going to have today. But it's like that being able to tap into that knowing within has guided me on my entire journey. So it's definitely essential, especially in the times that we're living in.
Well, I love your spoiler alert because, first of all of my listeners know I love nonlinear podcasts. That's kind of my jam, and just kind of giving people some tools of empowerment right from the beginning. But I don't want to skip on your journey, but since we already got kind of to the end, and I had so many questions for you, and I'm just fascinated by everything you've built, and it's such a short time as well, right? Because we're talking about just 5 years of discovering this for the first time, and it looks like you have just been doing it your whole life, right? So I love, besides all the questions that I want to ask you about your journey, to just kind of start with the business aspects. And this is what I think really is missing often in this holistic space. There's so much information today, thank God, about wellness and mindset and any kind of topics of or different modalities. But I feel like what's missing, and this is what we're trying to heal with the Healers podcast, is more like practical tools and more like tactical information. Okay, I have all these big dreams. I envision myself with this platform and community. How do I get there? What are the practical steps that maybe people are sitting here and listening to us today and just inspired by everything you've built? What is kind of, give us the shortcut. Okay. How do you go from discovering these powerful tools for yourself to building this empire and community?
Well, I'm a dreamer. I'm an air sign. I have a lot of air in my chart. So I love living in that dream state of ideas and getting downloads from the universe. I'm an ideas person. They just come through. I have a very clear channel to divine. But the most important aspect of receiving the idea of what it is you're meant to do or carry out is actually take action. And sometimes we could get stuck in that idea space. But if we're not actually bringing some into fruition, we'll notice the ideas slowly start to stop because we're filled with all these ideas. And it's like, okay, well, we have to give birth to some of them and move that energy and then be open to the next step or the next inspiring thought or idea. So for me, I personally work from a very intuitively guided space. I know when I receive a divine download or thought or message, and my entire business came as a tremendous download while I was in my Kundalini training. It was day 2 of my training. I had no intention actually of becoming a Kundalini teacher. I went to the training because it rocked my world. The practice changed my life dramatically. I suffered with panic attacks, anxiety. I was just living a very disempowered life. And the practice completely helped me do a 180. And I was like, this is wild. I need to actually understand what I'm doing because I'm a geek like that. Like I love to understand what actually is happening through the breath work and the mantras and the practice. So I went to training day 2. I received the download of what I was meant to do. And then it was like, okay, it's action time. Like I have this idea and I need to put wheels in motion. And I think, how do we do it? We see other people that do it and we use that as inspiration. We rely on our resources. We go to people who maybe have built the website or built the subscription or the membership and we see how they've done it, how it's been successful, or even like ways we've seen it, but we think it could be better, and creating it authentically from our soul, our heart, our mind, and our intuition. And it's about, for me, it was always about taking small baby steps that I felt really safe in. So I was an elementary school teacher at the time, and first of all, I knew I wasn't going to be a teacher my whole life. And I knew that I was meant to empower people. I had no idea how until I found Kundalini and started to train. But I also knew that I had to take action in creating this new pathway for myself, for me to be my own boss, to start my own empire, to be able to share this gift I uncovered within me, this divine gift that was so much greater than the human Erika. It was this energy that ran through me that I was like, whoa, I just want to share this because I think it could help so many other people. So from there, while I was teaching, I started to build an online platform, and it was like a login on a WordPress website. And then slowly from there, I would add content every month. And then from there, I graduated to an app. And it's just been one intuitively guided movement in the direction of what felt right to me, what felt aligned to me, one step in that direction at a time. And for me, it's never about like, what's a good business move and that's fine. If people have those hits too, that's wonderful. But for me, it's always been a super intuitive journey, a very divinely led journey where I receive these messages and I get these visions and then I act from that space.
That's incredible. And thank you for sharing that. I love this idea of, taking the small actions and not letting the ideas to kind of like stew for too long. And you mentioned something very interesting. The way you talked about it, I found very refreshing because you said, I wanted to be my own boss and I wanted to build my empire. To be honest, I don't hear a lot of healers say that because it's often like perceived in this community as something that is maybe not appropriate, right? Because the counter argument to that, we're not in it for a business or empire, which I respect as well. But I also find it extremely refreshing and inspiring as someone who comes from the business world, right, to the space, to see people that are confident enough to kind of claim their space and said, yes, I have this divine guidance, but the divine guidance also tells me I need to have an empire in order to impact as many people as I can. So can you talk about that? Was it natural to you, or was that a process that you had to overcome in your spiritual journey?
I always knew that I wanted to create something, and it was all based on empowering other people. And I realized that probably in my early 20s. And a lot of it came from just like my upbringing and how I wanted to support my family, whether it be emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever it may be. And I think around college, I realized like, oh, wow, people can have their own business. They can use their creativity to create a job for themselves. And I can do this and actually support people in a way that's so passionate to me, where I could really help people empower themselves through this practice and change their own life. So I think, I mean, the other aspect of this was my life and what I do for work now is one. Everything I share on social media, that is me. That is like truly me and my authentic life. Meditation is part of my everyday life. So it made sense. Like, why can't my career be what I do in my life? And why can't I actually be able to sustain and make money and support myself, my family through this while impacting so many other people? And it's like, if I'm able to do that, I wouldn't have any energy splits. I wouldn't be like, okay, let's put on the teacher suit and go be an elementary school teacher and act like the elementary school teacher, and then come home and be the spiritual teacher that I am and speak the spiritual language, all the conversations we like to have. Like, I started to feel like my life was a little split. And I just wanted that embodiment of oneness and be able to channel all of my energy into sharing a practice with people. And it's so funny because I never used the word empire, but you used it and then I was guided to. And I'm so like humbled by you even describing it as that. But it's really just about, I feel like, me spending time in meditation, connecting to divine, seeing how I can best support others in finding their highest self within them. And it's like, I really don't take credit for it because the energy that we create during the practice, it lives within each and every one of us. And it's just like, how can we access it? And there's so many different modalities, and the way I teach is one of them. And some people are, they're meant to find this practice. They're meant to tap in and they're meant to find their path through this, just as I was. So I think in our world, we've been brainwashed or programmed about how a leader or a CEO or whatever should be, and how a spiritual person should be, and how spiritual people shouldn't have money and they shouldn't have nice things because they're giving. But can't we recreate that? And how amazing would it be for people who are so conscious and spiritually connected to have a lot of resources, because we can reach more people, we can help more people, we could do amazing things with the resources and the financial abundance that we have when we stay connected to that really intentional and conscious space. So I know we're living through a huge paradigm shift right now, and there's a lot of shifts we're making. And I think what you're bringing up is absolutely one of them. It's a big shift. We're going to start seeing that acceptance of spiritual people making money in a conscious way, in a way of integrity, from a place of love and expansion, and then hopefully inspiring so many other people to take the leap and seeing you don't have to stay in a job that you feel so disconnected to. You can actually go ahead, use your gifts to make a living for yourself while impacting so many other people.
Erika, you like speak my soul language.
Oh.
Seriously, it just like I could have said it better myself, and it's is exactly what we're trying to create. Like my mission is to to establish the holistic healing and make it more acceptable and work through some of those stereotypes and challenges, but it's also to bring abundance to this space, because I think money is power. And right now, the power is in the hands that are not necessarily conscious or have the best intentions for everyone. And I completely agree with you. Sometimes I just, go and wonder in my dreams, like, what if most of the resources were controlled by people, but as conscious community? Like, how would that world would look like? And what if, it wasn't a shame to build a spiritual business, and we would celebrate people that create abundance in the space, how would that look like? And so that excites me a lot, because just like having people like yourself who understand the energies behind the energies that power this world and give them more access to the financial systems and the wealth in this world is just so empowering. So thank you for sharing this message, because I feel like coming from you, it just has like, it has more power, because you're somebody who is on that side, right? And somebody who is has a strong healing side as well. But you're also very comfortable talking about creation of wealth, which is, at the end of the day, just creation, right? It's all creation. Whether you're creating money or, I don't know, building a retreat center or creating health for people, it's all part of our creation process. So thank you for sharing that message.
Of course.
And you said a couple of things that I wanted to double click on. So earlier you mentioned your social media presence. That is part of who you are. It's so authentic, and it is. And it's really, I mean, it's beautifully done. It feels genuine. It's very relatable. You feel very connected to your audience. And was that just kind of natural? Because I know there's people that are kind of come to that place and they're naturally kind of fitting the format and the medium. But I think a majority of people don't have that comfort with social media channels, with putting themselves out there, talking on camera. And some people, it takes them years to get to that place when they feel authentic, even though they feel authentic inside, but it doesn't always translate to the medium. So can you talk about your process there? Was it a process to find the right format that was authentic and comfortable to you, or was it just kind of like came about naturally?
When I discovered the practice, I wanted to do anything I could to share it with people because of how it impacted me so greatly. It truly healed me. And I was so excited about it, maybe super naive too, in the sense of like, oh my gosh, I found something that is just so transformative. I transformed so much through this. I just want to share it. And something my husband would say often is he recognized early on, like, you really don't care how you come off to people. You just want to share from you're never focused on what people will think of you. If you have a message, you're going to share it. And I think that's part of the recipe of success. And what's helped me a lot is just truly sharing from a really pure and authentic place. And I never got down on like, oh, I don't really look great in this video, or think stopping maybe someone else's perspective of me, especially early on. I think I had like naivete on my side when I was starting, because I was just like, yes, I want to share this. And as I grew a bit more sensitive to energy, because that's what a lot of these practices will do, I'm more aware of energy and sharing and how much to share and what to share and all of those things. But for the most part, I think I have my Leo rising to thank for being really comfortable on camera and just like, hey, when I put on the phone, I just feel like I'm talking to like best soul friends, because I feel like everyone that's been guided to my page is for a reason, and it's a frequency thing where we're connected by this frequency that we share together in a sense. And I just feel like I'm connecting with people who want to be here, who want to hear what I have to say. So I just share it. And there's been some days where I'm like, I feel like this very deep spiritual being and teacher. And then like sometimes I'm talking about like products that work for me. I'm like, does that align? And the truth is, like, I'm a multi-dimensional being. I am super spiritual. I'm having these supernatural experiences in my meditation. And then I work out and need dry shampoo for my hair because like that's just how it is. And yeah, I want to share it all. Like that's just how I came to really feel comfortable with sharing all different parts of me and my life and my relationship with my husband and my family. And it's just, I think it's just fun to share it all. And I think that is part of it that makes it relatable because I could easily portray myself as, the meditation teacher who is just meditating and you're not seeing much more of her life, or she's not going out and enjoying the things that many of us are enjoying. I could portray myself as that, but I just feel like an inside look into the whole picture and this shift into how we're all accessing that multidimensionality. And yeah, I just feel like it's fun. It just makes life fun and it makes sharing fun to see all the different parts.
No, that's beautiful. And it's amazing that you're able and to show those different parts and talk about it with such confidence. But you mentioned the different energies and being aware of them, right? So I think this is one of the concerns that comes up a lot with people that are intuitive and they're empaths, right? They're easily impacted by those group energies, especially on social media. What are your kind of tools to outside of, of course, meditating and making sure you're in that centered space? Do you have any kind of boundaries in that sense? And if you feel like ever those boundaries are crossed or something that affects you, how do you deal with that?
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with human design. Are you?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm a mental projector. And as a mental projector, I always say it's kind of like you can see things sometimes before the collective can see and understand things. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn at all, but it's kind of like this, you just are able to see past what is actually in the 3D realm. And there's a lot of things that come up for me that like I would like to share, but I also have to create a boundary with myself that not everything needs to be shared and not everyone is ready to hear certain things on this spiritual journey. And that's a place I definitely have boundaries because I'm a Libra. I want to keep the peace for sure. And the social media is just it's a broadcast where each account is broadcasting their opinion or their belief or their perspective. And as someone who meditates a lot and can hold space for all perspectives, whether it aligns with mine or not, I want to see the collective get more into that space too. I think we're all working towards that, but as a Libra, it could be hard for me to share something that I'm really passionate or opinionated about because I'm so aware of the multi perspectives that exist. And I have respect for the multi perspectives. So I think that's a place I really have strong boundaries. And I also think that I know, like if I share something and it doesn't feel right in my body, like sometimes I'll feel the energy of people receiving it and I'll just delete it right away and be like, no, I don't want someone to take that this way because that's not at all how I meant it. So I'll just take it down. But the empath energy is real. And there's been many times where I have to go back to my story and be like, yeah, I'm not ready to share that. Or I don't want that to be received in a way that I didn't mean for it to be. So I think those are most of the boundaries that I've had to implement.
That's incredible. And I can so relate. I'm a mental projector too.
Are you?
Yes, we're very,
I love
rare
it.
breed. Yeah.
I know. 9%, I think. 9% of the population.
Yeah, something
I
like
think
that.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a wild one for sure. And
Yeah.
it's funny. I mean, first of all, we have so many similarities. I mean, I also had my Kundalini awakening like years
Did you?
ago, and I got into Kundalini yoga practice that changed my life and put me not straight like on your path like you did. It was like the before and after, and mine was more gradual, but it was definitely a shift moment when I first felt the energy. And I agree, like, I mean, Kundalini yoga is just such a powerful practice. But yeah, now we have also mental projector in common.
So cool. I love it.
So, but speaking of Kundalini, and I think what you created is so unique and so your own, right? How, a lot of the modalities that we're seeing today, and like a lot of the healers are exploring this path of kind of taking some of those ancient tools and infusing it with the modern techniques or just something that may be more suitable for the modern audience, right? Or something more digestible. Because if you take traditional Kundalini yoga, we're talking about a very kind of strict practice that has a lot of rules around it, a lot of it's intense, right? It's a commitment. It's a commitment to that lifestyle. And what I love about what you do is you make it more accessible to the masses because the tools are just so powerful, right? And they're so potent, but they were for years kind of like also kept under because of all those strict rules, they kind of kept for, I would say, select few who are willing to go that journey. So how did you come up with that? Like kind of your own technique. You went and, you did the training and they said, okay, I've seen that. I understand. But now I'm going to create my own practice and I'm going to bring it to the people in this particular way.
Fun fact, it was actually reserved for royalty only, and teachers, gurus would only share it with people in power because of the power it really unlocks, which is so fascinating. Now we all have access to it, which is incredible. But I think as a mental projector, I I see efficiency as like a really important thing in life. Like, how can we just take something and stay true to it, keep the integrity, and make it work for our modern life? And all the teachings are based on the original teachings. So the integrity is there and the lineage is there. I think what I maybe have shifted or tweaked is the amount of time we need to spend doing it, because I had a spiritual awakening by practicing 3 to 5 minutes every day. That's how powerful these practices are. And I saw that and I looked around at the modern woman or the modern man, and it's like, we might not have an hour and a half for a full sadhana or a full Kundalini practice, but we could get a lot done in 3 to 5 minutes with this practice. So I started teaching just like bite-sized meditations to help people really start to build their practice. And what ends up happening is you tap into that energy, which you described. And as you described it, it gave me such chills. You start to tap into this energy within yourself and you want to go longer. You're like, I don't want to leave in 3 to 5 minutes. This feels like home to me. This feels like a home that I haven't really been to before, and I want to stay here. And then it turns into like bliss and euphoria and all those feelings. So I think while staying true to the practice, allowing it to be bite-sized or to cut down the kriyas and keeping the ratio, because Kundalini is very time specific. But you can, if you cut one thing in half, you could cut the rest of them in half, just keeping the ratio basically of the exercises and times. I've done that. And I also incorporated a bit of the brain training that I had to use in order to heal my anxiety and my health anxiety. I really had to retrain my brain. So I would incorporate thinking thoughts of gratitude, thinking positive thoughts while you're in this really high state. Think about releasing the negative thoughts or the thoughts of fear from you, and then bringing in that new thought, creating help to guide those new neural pathways in the mind. And the practice absolutely supports that. And it's actually doing that for you, whether you consciously think of it or not. But I think I brought in more of like the conscious and mindset training into the practice as well, because that helped me a lot. And tapping into gratitude is just such an expansive practice too.
That's incredible. And thanks for sharing that. And it just, I mean, it's so smart. I can totally relate to that kind of bite-sized content, because this is what personally intimidated me for years about Kundalini, because I felt like, it's either I'm all in into waking up at 5 a.m. and doing the Kriya, or, you're not doing it right. And I think you are a living proof that you can change the 5-minute practice. And that's incredible. That gives a lot of people, I think, a lot of comfort, because I think, I'm sure that one of the most common, blocks around meditation, well, I don't have time to meditate. And the second one, I can't sit still. And the third one is I can quiet my thoughts. But I think the time is always kind of the first one, and just tackling that, which is so clever because automatically you unlocked it for so many people that can no longer have that excuse.
The other thing is for the people who feel like they don't have time, time is a real thing. I completely understand. But the practice makes the rest of your day so much more efficient because you are bringing, I say you're bringing the whole team in one direction. You're not working against yourself. You're clearing your subconscious. You're taking out your trash. You're taking out the distractions. You're tapping into more focus, more energy, oxygenating the body. And I just picture the full body, the mind, the subconscious, everything is moving in one direction. And you find that you just flow through your days so much more easily. So, in the time that you take for your meditation, you will get that back times 5 in your day because of how much more clear and efficient you'll be and energized.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And to double down on that, I could not recommend enough an hour long meditation because the things you get in an hour. I mean, I've gone into meditating, sometimes there'll be days in a business when I have a problem that I can just not solve. It's not like I need to move to another dimension to solve it. And then I go to an hour meditation. By the time I come back, there's an email, there's a note, there's something happened that completely resolved it. And it's just like so incredible just to be in that power to know you don't have to. I think we're all trained to live in this world when we have to hustle for things to happen, right? We have to do X, Y, and Z to solve this. And it's just like when you move, when you shift dimensions and you realize like you can actually solve things on another level, it's just so empowering.
It's so true. There's been so many times where I just felt blocked or didn't know what to do or needed clarity around something. And all I had to do was tune in with the Adi mantra and it's just like a shift. And it truly is. It's like taking that elevator to your higher self, your more clear, your soul, and getting rid of the rest, the overanalyzing and all of those things, overcritical, and being able to just like, boop, that's it.
I love this. So, I mean, thank you for empowering people with that message because I feel like we also need, the meditation space is obviously growing and really finally, people realize all the benefits. There's so much research coming out for those of us who need that side of the brain to justify, thankfully. But also, I think there's so many diverse and amazing teachers that are coming to this space like yourself, creating new formats or new ways that are just like allowing more people to experiment with that. But you also build community around it. And that's like another layer of it. So it's not just products that you put out there and kind of leave people on your own, but you're also holding space for this community. So can you share what was that process like and how are you kind of treating this community as part of your journey as like a healer, as a businesswoman? Like where does that fit in and how does it play a role in your larger vision?
Oh my God. I could get emotional because it's a community that completely fuels me. Like hearing the feedback, hearing what the practice has done for them in their lives. I just got a wild DM right before this about a home that they never thought that they would be able to find in their price range. And a year later, after practicing, like she really contributes it to that. And it's the community truly is everything. And it really continues to relight my fire because every time someone else finds the practice and it's bringing to them exactly what they needed in that moment, it's like, yes, this is why I share. And this is why I'm so passionate about it. It worked for me. It could work for anyone else that's meant to find it and guided to find it. So the community is everything. In the app, we have comments where people just drop like how the meditation was for them, things that they're looking for. And my DMs are always open to get feedback. And I always just want to continue to provide these healing modalities that can support them in any way. But I really think it grew by putting myself out there and really sharing again from this authentic space. Like, I know I sound like a broken record, but I think that's what it is because we all want connection And we all want to feel like we're connected and hear from one another someone's journey and what worked for them and how it could possibly help us. And I think there's so much power in sharing. And even if it's vulnerable, even, we have to do what feels aligned to our soul and what we feel comfortable sharing, of course. But it's like if no one shared their experience, we wouldn't be able to grow as a collective, as a human species. We learn from one another. We gain hope and faith in one another. And we're educated through other people's process and the trials and tribulations that they had to go through to find what really helped them. So I do think that played a really big role in having people feel safe and wanting to try the practice and allowing me to guide them as a teacher and a guide. And also having in-person events has been so special too, connecting in person, being able to like hug these people who, they see me on a screen every morning on their app, but it's like, no, I'm a human, just like you're a human. And we're here in this journey of life to live, to grow and evolve continuously, together. And so many of my community members are just so well versed in all of this that we're talking about today and all the things that your community is tapped into as well. And it's like we learn from one another. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it.
Well, Erica, thank you for creating this beautiful space with your community and like all your shares and putting yourself out there and, in the most authentic way. Is just like we need more people in this space, and I think hopefully this episode will inspire more people to kind of step up and step out, maybe a little bit out of their comfort zone for the sake of, sharing this information, because I think every healer, they have so much knowledge, more than you ever realize, and so much wisdom to share. And sometimes we don't give ourselves that credit. So thank you for doing that for your community, but also for our community of healers. And, I feel like we can talk forever about the ways you build your practice, but I wanted to ask you if you have kind of any words of wisdom, particularly for practitioners and healers, whether they're just starting out and they want to make an impact in the space, or people that are stuck a little bit. They have a great practice, but they feel like they want more. They want to have, again, bigger impact. They want to impact the larger communities.
I really feel like it's about finding what really lights you up about what you do and what you share, and just doing it somehow, some way. Maybe at first you're not charging for it. Maybe you are just offering it to build a community and to get feedback and to see how people take to it. But more importantly, to see how you feel after sharing. And then from there, this momentum grows. And then you start to find ways that this can be, this can support you financially and help you step into this as a career. But I think it's just taking action in a way that feels so good and aligned to you and doing what lights you up more, because that momentum will build and that will guide you to different experiences and different opportunities. I also, what you said was like, we need more people in this space. I think it's so easy to go on social media and be like, oh, everyone's doing it, I'm not doing it. And at the time when I started teaching Kundalini, I really didn't know many people doing it. So I didn't really face that in the beginning. And I think that's something a lot of people might face right now. But a really important thing to remember is that there is a teacher for everyone, and there's a student to every teacher, and who's meant to learn with me and on Evolve, they're going to find me. And if there's another Kundalini teacher, there are students meant for that teacher as well. And it's really not about this competitive space, but I always look at it as this bigger role of being here and through Kundalini, helping people awaken their higher consciousness at this time on the planet. And we, like you said, we need as many healers and teachers as possible, sharing their light, because no one's going to do it in the way you're going to do it, because no one is you. And there are students that are meant to learn from you in this lifetime. So stepping into that, shutting off the noise. I remember when I first created my social media account, the one I have now, I switched from a personal account to this account. And the only people I followed was like these angel number accounts, these high frequency um contents. I was only consuming things that fed my soul. And I honestly didn't know. Like I said, back to the naive thing, like I didn't even know of the wellness movement. I didn't know of the spiritual awakening that was possibly happening in 2017. It was really just like me finding this thing that helped me so much and being in a one lane focus of like, I want to share this. And I think that also really supported me. And now at this time, we're so aware of like all the things being shared, everyone sharing on social media. But maybe your account, you just, you choose who you're following, you choose what you're following, and you're following those things that continue to fuel your passion and just go from there. Like comparison is never going to assist you, and reminding yourself that you are here for a reason and you're here to share something. It literally doesn't matter what's going on outside of you.
So many powerful messages and like resonates so much. I kind of had the same with since creating the Helist account. I kind of stopped checking my personal account, but I was very careful about curating who I follow with Helist. And, it would be usually either our members of our community or some of those more high frequency accounts. And it just like really was life changing. Like suddenly I was actually enjoying social media. I was enjoying going on Instagram and checking out all those amazing things people are sharing instead of, having some of those other lower emotions. So absolutely. And I think just such a helpful advice to kind of stay in your lane. And I think it's when we start comparing ourselves and I think, being in the space and with my previous business, I built the influencer marketing space and the fashion and beauty industry. And I just remember like back in 2008 when I was just starting out, and it seemed like it was a big space, but it was just the beginning, and everything that came after was just this huge wave of people, right? That became what we know today as fashion influencers. So I definitely see the same kind of trend with the wellness space. It seems like everyone is doing it, but it's actually like still a very small number of people. Trust me, it's gonna come. I feel the wave is coming. It's gonna come very soon because the world is just going nuts. So there will be no choice. Like people are gonna rise. But there is a huge wave. So for anyone who sits and thinks, okay, all the possible niches, right, quote unquote, are taken. What else can I do that no one else done? You have no idea.
Yeah.
We're just on the cusp of something bigger that's going to come. So now is actually the time. Now it's the go time to go and establish your presence, because just like you think there are so many people doing it, there's so few people compared to the world population that are even interested in the subjects that we're talking about. We think it's everyone, but we're in such a bubble, right?
I went through a period this year where I was like, am I really going to keep telling people how meditation could change their life? Everybody knows this already. And then I had to bring myself to like look around in my personal community of family, of close friends. And I'm like, no, it's like smaller than 1% of those people who actually have a practice. And I know I've been saying this for years, but just like everyone now, not everyone, but most people have some type of fitness routine, the next wave is a meditation spiritual practice. I'm so excited we'll be here for it, and we'll be able to, and that's really when all these spiritual teachers will come into a space of such abundance, because so many people will need to be supported. But that's the next wave. And you're right. We need people there for it.
Yeah, we need to be able to hold space for
Yeah.
everyone who's gonna come in, because things are just getting more and more chaotic. If you just live in the 3D world is getting chaotic. 5D is amazing. It's doing extremely well. But
Yes. So true.
well, Erika, it's such a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, just like so much wisdom and practical and all kinds. And just as we wrap up, I wanted to ask if there's anything else you wanted to share with our community, any important messages.
No, I'm just so grateful that you had me on to be able to connect with your community. It sounds like such a wonderful space to be part of. No, if anyone wants to connect with me and Instagram and TikTok, I'm at incale.xcal. If you're interested in joining the membership, we're actually going to put a link in the show notes to give you access to a free month of meditations. I have over 600 meditation videos ranging from 3 minutes to close to an hour, anything you could really need. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Evolved by Erika, where I share more about the Kundalini experience and awakening journey. Yeah, but I love connecting, and I do teach live classes as well on the app, which is fun, another fun way to connect with community. So you could find me there, reach out with any questions. I would love to connect and know that you came from the Healist podcast. And I'm so grateful that you had me here. Thank you.
Oh, you're amazing. Please keep doing everything you're doing and all
You
those
too.
amazing platforms.
You too.